Brian went to UNH. We both actually went to the University of New Hampshire and graduated with a mechanical engineering degree. I was kinesiology. The mechanical engineering has really come in handy. Constant engineering around here. Maybe over-engineering, but it's all good. A lot of fixing. So, and obviously the jack of all trades. On my off days, I coach ski racing. Love it. It's my happy place too. So that's kind of us. And this is our more extended family here. 2 daughters, Kaylee, which is right here, Ella, which will be zipping around here, Sam, and then our dog Schmidt, who is a character in his own self. So before we get too much into what we do here, a little bit of New Hampshire history is there was a park. There's still a park. It's Blue Mountain, is it?
Blue Mountain.
But it was Corbin Park before that, and that's probably 20 miles or so.
Yeah, it's just a little north of here, and a lot of times when we go to a conference out in Montana, wherever it is, people are like, New Hampshire? What? Buffalo, New Hampshire. We always are proud to say that a lot of New Hampshire has a big part of saving the buffalo because there was a gentleman's hunt park that was owned by Austin Corbin, who owned Coney Island and down in New York, and he loved buffalo, he loved land, and he would want to bring in other business people to a hunt park because they couldn't afford the week or month even to go to out west to shoot a buffalo, like from a train or whatever. So they had a hunt park here, and they had their own private one. They had wild boar, buffalo, elk, but at one time they had about 10% of all buffalo in North America here in New Hampshire on this private park, in which at some point they worked with the government to basically reintroduce some of the animals back into some of the foundation herds throughout the country. Here's a couple, some of the famous people. Ernest Baines was a naturalist that was very well known for his animal handling. It was definitely a show there, but also a lot of conservation efforts as well. We had famous people that came. Roosevelt, which basically helped fund, I think started the national parks. I think Yellowstone was the first one, if I remember right. Henry Ford was always known to be bombing around with his little Model Ts on the park, and so there's a lot of different people that, and they never realized, they come to this park and realize, what do you mean there's no buffalo out west anymore? And so it was basically the 1880s is really when a lot of this was started, and a lot of efforts towards it. So there's a big history of this in New Hampshire, and so.
And some of those animals actually went across to repopulate herds out there. So anyway, so this is us. You'll see that stand later. The question we always get is, oh, why do you raise buffalo? And so many reasons, but if you want to go to the next one, Gail? Yep. It's really just the connection that we feel with the animal, the land, the planet, the people, and food sources. We just fell in love with the animals, and they're super majestic, as you all know, because they're probably roaming in your pastures as well, and you probably have that same connection as well. So very important to raise these guys and have a regenerative, more holistic approach in raising animals, giving back to the planet, and then in turn that gives back to us. So here's a little timeline. Brian started way back when he was about 16 in high school, and started just a farm in New Boston.
Yeah, and there was, we ended up getting some animals, we found some animals, and before we even were able to bring them home, we basically had already sold them as meat. And that was kind of the beginning of our meat business, and the revolving door, because we were teenagers, didn't have, my family was supportive in the sense of, that if you want to do this, like, go for it, but it was not like it. My mom was a machinist, my dad a truck driver, and so it wasn't like we grew up on a farm. Definitely blessed with the last name Farmer. But other than that, and I knew that traditional farming, a lot of dairy farms, this area is very popular for dairy or sheep, or but a lot of those were going out and still are going out, and I knew that I had to do something a little bit different. And seemingly Buffalo was the answer. Seemed to be all the reasons to do it. Why didn't we just go for it? And that was the mentality, and everything we had was patched together. But it gave us a start.
So in 1998, before we were even married, we decided we were going to get to Buffalo. We had no land. We had no money. We were just young, dumb, and stupid, I think. We ended up selling my car and buying our first Buffalo, one of which went to our wedding, and then the others we coerced my in-laws to, and that's the farm in Hillsborough, to put animals on their property. So we did that in 1998, 1999. Yankee Farmers Market was in full swing for whatever that looked like. It was just us trying to figure it out, you know. Coming from a lineage of entrepreneurs, I just took the leap, and Brian was there taking the leap with me. So it was interesting. We've learned a lot by all of our mistakes, I think. But we didn't even have a tractor when we first started. I think we dug all the fence posts by hand. So don't recommend that. Post under all the way. In 2013. We acquired Pitcher Mountain Farm here. It's part of a larger tract of land, which is considered indoor forest, and its purpose is conservation. It's a fantastic vision that the family had to preserve this land, and it's about 12,000 acres, so just under. So, and Pitcher Mountain Farm is kind of in the middle of it. So. We have some Scottish Highland beef here. That was what they started back in the 1950s. It was one of the foundation herds of Scottish Highland beef. So, and in 2014, we received an innovative grant for a use area with wood chips. We did that in Warner, and that was a really cool engineering feat. Thankfully, I knew an engineer, and it's still in use today. It works super well, and the idea is wood chips collect the nutrients, and then you can put them out on your fields or whatever. So, and then in 2023, we started our nonprofit Holistic Roots. We realized right from the beginning it was an education for people. Even though our Buffalo stand is a covered wagon with all sorts of buffalo pictures in it and buffalo burgers and hot dogs, everybody was like, "How spicy is your chicken?" And so it was like, okay, we have to start from the very beginning. We don't raise chicken, we raise buffalo. And then we just recently partnered with the Abenaki, Helping Abenaki, and we're raising some animals for their people, for food sources for their people. So that's the basic timeline. So this is us here. We'll go through this real quick. So because I sold my car, I had no mode of transportation, so I decided to ride Brendel, our buffalo, who was our pet buffalo. This is our house from way back when, and I don't know if you can point, oh wait, go back. Oh, shoot, sorry. Yeah, that was our store. Right here. It was a dining room, that we had a curtain and a box freezer, and again, that's what we had, so.
It really amazingly worked really well. As our family grew, we had kids bring their toys in, and some of our customers today talk about it. It's like, I remember holding your baby while you were getting meat out of the freezer, and so, but it gave us a start. And we were running a retail business out of there. We were shipping meat. We were doing concessions. We were selling to distributors, and so it all started there.
It developed into this, and thankfully I knew a contractor. Thanks, God. and my husband and my other, we drag all family members into this, but we built this barn here, and in it has a store. It's our store here. We're open 5 days a week, and we do all the operations. Becca and Ginger man the fort over there, so. These are some of our missions. We really, customer connection and providing good quality food to the local community is really the key of what we do. I really appreciate the health and nutrition of raising such a quality meat, and we see the health benefits with human health as well. So that's a really big part of why we do what we do. And some of our core values here. And again, education was always a biggie. Quality, always trying to reinvent the wheel with the quality and get better at each and everything that we do. So, and just being responsible. So this is our umbrella under Yankee Farmers Market. We have a Farm and Warner, a retail store location. We have an online store where we ship the concession stand, which you'll see later. We offer a meat CSA share and ship that within New England mostly, but also people come and pick up at the farm. We do some wholesale sales, so we sell to meat co-op, meat specialty food shops, butcher shops, and co-ops, restaurants, that kind of stuff. We still have our farm in Hillsborough. We do some farm consulting, and Yankee Farmers Market manages Pitcher Mountain Farm here, and we also manage the Yankee bison herd as well. So this is sort of some of our products and proteins offered, and this is like one of our web pages here. So just kind of a variety of things, including chicken. We realized that we wanted to diversify our diet, so we ended up bringing in chicken and turkey and pork, and the mission is really to support local agriculture and make other farms sustainable, but we knew that not everybody's going to be able to have a farm store. So Yankee Farmers Market was really obviously a playoff of our name, but it was sort of, the mission was like a food hub mission where it's a one-stop shop for people to come get locally raised meats. So,
and we would have a lot of our customers that say, I love your buffalo, but do you know anyone that raises really good chicken, right? And so being in the buffalo world, we basically said, you know what? Jim raises great chicken. Let's call him up, and the farmers really appreciated it. The customers really appreciated it, but a lot of them actually came back to us and said, any way that you could add it to your portfolio. So then we ended up basically promoting it, and then buying the animals from them, having them processed, marketing it either under their name or ours. But basically putting our stamp of approval of these guys do a really great job. And then we're also able to control some of the quality that way and the packaging.
And it helps support a bunch of other farms in the local area.
You basically can't do everything well. So if someone's doing well with it, we promote them.
So the concession stand, we go to probably 6 events. I think we used to do 30. That was nuts.
I joke that the governor, that's our Capitol building in Concord, New Hampshire, we always joke that he invited us down for his private thing, but there's a street fair there. But you will see, as I'm sure you guys have experienced, people, you can almost see it in their eye that they're seeking you out and they're going for their buffalo burger or their cheesesteak or sausage. It's pretty fun.
So just a few pictures from our water farm. We just had goats born the other day, so we have 4 more kids. And so this is Pitcher Mountain.
Yeah, Pitcher Mountain Farm. One of the things that was so attractive to us was the stewardship that went into this property is just unbelievable. And right down the street here, there's another house on the property that's the oldest house in town. It's I think 1774, I believe. Just to give you a little bit of history of this, but it was the farm is part of a larger piece of property known as the Andorra Forest, which is all under conservation and owned by a private family. And they have been fantastic about trying to keep open space, allow people to come. But here, in my opinion, is probably one of the nicest places that I've ever been exposed to raising animals. And a lot of days are just like today, when it's like sweltering hot, and this farm is known for summer pasture. So kind of the breakdown of what's here for the farm, that's more or less what you see around us. There's about 200 acres of pastured off land, and most of it is beef fence, because the farm has been notably one of the first foundation herds in the country for Scottish Highland cattle. When we met the Faulkner family, who basically owns Endure Forest, they had this herd, and we were kind of interested in Scottish Highlanders, but not really. We were buffalo people. We had 30 plus years of buffalo, and so what ended up happening though is we kind of fell in love with the Scottish Highlanders, and also it kind of expanded my animal husbandry, because things that I didn't have to worry about with buffalo, I did with beef. And the beef, I will say, is probably the buffalo version of beef, but they're still very different. And it's a rare opportunity to be able to have both and see, some things like the feed consumption in the winter. The beef go in overdrive and eat twice as much as the same group of buffalo do. And then vice versa, you will see a big swing of their diet. The buffalo are eating more diversity of crop. And so it's very interesting to run both. The Scottish Highland calves are super cute, the little teddy bears. But they're great. And so it has really helped our buffalo animal husbandry by knowing a little bit of both. Because I've never had a problem birthing with a buffalo, but with the beef I've had those things, and I've learned things to pay attention to with the buffalo. So it's been a very good thing. There's one of our dominant breeding bulls, I think that's a stole there. My daughter Kaylee's with our pet Rose. She's was a bottle raised animal that is exceptionally friendly. We've raised a lot of bottle babies, but she really got the extra love from our children who bottle raised them. And we've had bulls that you can sit on, as you can see, but she loves attention, and there's very few animals in my career that I would ever let my children just go up and pet and handle and hug. So, all right. Yeah.
So this was one of the very early spring calves. I think it was February. Yeah, February where he was born, and it was gross, disgusting New England day. He was shivering out in the pasture, so we brought him in. And we're hair drying him. He's literally in our store. And I did about a 22-second video clip of this guy, and I was like, I'm just going to throw it on Facebook and see what happens. My few friends on Facebook will love it, right? Well, it went viral. It got picked up by all over the country and all over the world, really. And there were lovers and there were haters, and it really steamed up the conversations of whether people should eat meat or not. I think we got accused of being a veal farm, and this little guy was going to be taken to the butcher right away, and then also that where's his mom? He should be with his mom, and I mean we returned it within 4 hours. But he was super cute, and 22 million hits. I know. It was crazy. Like the Associated Press. There's actually some newspaper articles over there about it, but it was crazy. Oh, his name. Oh, okay. So his name is Diego, and it's named after a Spanish boy who was turning 8. 5. Sorry. And so it was part of our. Yeah, it's all he wanted for his birthday was to name this cow. So we named him Diego. But anyway. And so then, as I had mentioned, we started Holistic Roots last year with the idea of very education-based health and wellness of all things, not just the animals and land, but also people. It all interconnects. It's super important that we take a look at our food systems, how we're growing our foods, and how that's affecting human health, animal health, planet health. And so the hope here is to really develop this as an educational center, collaborate with people like yourselves. I appreciate you all coming today because we checked the box on having a community event and collaborating with some great people, and I really appreciate that. So that's Holistic Roots idea, and then here's sort of some of how we're getting started in it is doing some educational workshops and conferences like this here. We have an Adopt a Buffalo program that helps to offset the feed costs for the Abenaki tribe. We're trying to restore the farmhouse here, and we've implemented some workshop series. Last year, we were lucky enough to have Ken Burns, famous documentarian, who lives actually about 20 miles from here. And the Wall Street Journal came to do an article on him, and he was such a delight. He was such a nice guy. He stayed for hours. We had dinner with him. He was fantastic.
He was fantastic. So the Wall Street Journal came up from New York with their photo crew, and they pulled me inside and said, we need to be prepared for Ken Burns is a heavy hitter. We might get 15 minutes with him, so we need to get our shots and get in and out, just in case he's booked elsewhere. And he ended up staying with us for like 3 or 4 hours. We had so many laughs. He was calling his children to just, you won't believe where I'm at, and he's videoing, FaceTiming. It was super fun.
Of course, Rose stole the show.
He would have loved to be here today as a guest speaker. However, his schedule is fully booked, and he's actually in California. He basically sends his best regards. I had a conversation with him last week, and so he's very excited to know that you guys are all here, and this is a very special place for him being close by, and so definitely watch his documentary if you haven't already. Lessons learned.
Yeah, so many lessons learned.
Boy, I love that picture. That says it all. And it doesn't matter what species. We've had pigs, we've had buffalo, we've had all these different things, and that picture is very similar. Of sometimes your plan isn't what they haven't planned. But
One of the funniest things I think my father-in-law said was like, you got livestock, you got dead stock. And it is true. I mean, just things happen on the farm that is out of your control. You'll find animals stuck in feeders or punctured lungs or, calves that need help or whatever. So, I think what happened was right in the beginning, our beloved pet, Rendell, ended up getting bored, and we lost him for that. And since that day, it was like, okay, we got to remember what we're doing here, and that we have animals, and things can happen like that out of our control. So, just a couple of different things is, cash flow is always so important in any small business. Making sure that you're paying attention to all the math behind it, and your hours. Farmers never charge for their hours, and they work way too many hours. But our food systems our food costs are kind of not accurate of how many hours go into it. So education is really key for that. But anyway, and here's some more lessons. I think it's like success is great, but failures, you learn more from failures than success, and we've had a lot of failures, so we learned a lot of lessons. Hopefully we're not repeating them over and over again, but certainly the adaptation and being resilient in the pandemic and whatnot, that was a crazy time. First there was no toilet paper, and then there was no meat on the shelves, and people were getting very nervous that they weren't going to have food. So we were able to adapt and do online sales only so that people didn't have to come into our store or whatever. And then just like the buffalo, stand facing the wind and, approach everything with some problem-solving skills yeah, it's been a ride.
And nothing will necessarily, it takes a lot of discipline, and you need to adjust. That is a really, a big thing. You can have all the plans, you can have all the infrastructure, but it is about implementation and adaptability. And so, I kind of joke, but I'm pretty serious about it. Like, I was a punk, teenager when I started. I didn't have anyone really that I could copy and ask the questions, and kind of as part of why this conference is in New England is that problems that are here are different than other places in the country, and so that is a really important thing. I did have people that I could call and talk to out west, but basically their advice I couldn't use here. And so I encourage you today to learn from some of our mistakes, some of our successes. There's some excellent people in here that are very knowledgeable of this area, and so please share your information as much as learn from them. And so this is definitely a good learning opportunity.